Hello and a very warm welcome to you all. I'm Vikas Nangia with another episode of CyberWatch. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to lay emphasis on artificial intelligence, and so we are joined by our esteemed guests from the previous episode. So this is the part 2 of the topic, preventing an AI-related catastrophe, cyber implications and risk of artificial intelligence. Our guest on the program are Lalit Ahluwalia, the founder and CEO of Digital X-Force and iTrust X-Force. Our second guest on the program is Sheetal Rishi, the Vice President, High Performance Computing and AI Deployments with HP Enterprise. Sheetal and Lalit, thank you so very much for joining us on part 2 of our episode that lays emphasis on artificial intelligence. So Lalit, a lot of people had sent the feedback to us of the previous episode, and they've expressed their concern about the upcoming elections. So there's more curiosity that how AI can play a pivotal role in shaping up the elections in the United States or be it in India. What would you say? You gave some great, relevant case studies, but take that conversation forward.
Absolutely, Vikas. So first of all, glad to be back. And thank you, Sheetal, for setting the stage very well with the AI and understanding, because this is important.
Absolutely.
What artificial intelligence is, how can be applied, or could be misused.
Sure.
Specifically with election systems. Now, elections, and I consider it more politics, right? Sports and anything, I think everybody's tuned to. Even the audience will very well relate, because everybody's watching which party is going to win. Is my candidate going to win? And what's going on? That all is a momentum play. And a lot of momentum builds based on the data. So one of the biggest risks with AI in general, which Sheetal also quantified earlier, was around the misinformation. So in elections, one of the biggest fear we see with artificial intelligence is going to be how much misinformation about the candidates or the data which is not true data will be proliferating, whether it's in US, whether it's in India, whether it's in other parts of the world.
Right.
And it will be very hard for people to now believe is it true or false. And that data is not just about the direct data. It could be indirect data. And look at US elections. Very soon you will see, person A endorsing President candidate B or C.
Yeah.
And that plays a big role in how they influence the voting segments.
Yeah.
What if that data was misinformed? What if that was miscoded? How you can trust that? Building upon that, there will be as you know, that AI also has this cyber technologies, now bots, what we call it. Thanks to those bots, they will automatically frame those emails or content like, your voting registration is for such and such day. Okay, if I'm waiting for that day and I've been told your slot is XYZ, or I can do online voting and I'm under the misconception, which I will truly believe.
Right.
That's another way to kind of lose my vote or vote in a way that I should not be voting. Yeah. So there's so many things you can diagnose. And last but not the least, we all know how underfunded the public sector or the government sector is.
Sure. There's
always shortage of workers. A lot of them are voluntary workers. They're not even given the technologies and the tools. On the one hand, I'm fighting the nuclear war, and then you will have people who are having knives and swords in their hands fighting me back. Imagine what your chances standing against that. Sum it all together, that's the risk we're going to see. If any indication from the last election, when even the former president, Mr. Trump, said, I don't even believe the results, or the DNC, the Democratic National Party, about the Hillary Clinton, saga, that chapter happened.
Right.
These are just early symptoms of what could happen in a democratic world.
What Lalit mentioned, how can we mitigate the whole problem that one could face in elections, upcoming elections, keeping AI in perspective?
Yeah, great question and great setup, Lalit. I think every risk that you mentioned is very real, right?
Sure.
It is no more fiction, it's no more science fiction, because we've all experienced it, and I think what is yet to come is yet to be seen, yet to be determined. The brighter side also is that there is more influence, right? Everybody taking pictures. I voted. I actually was inspired. I was really late for the last elections. I couldn't be there, but literally at 9:20 p.m. I saw in my WhatsApp chat group friends posting that they voted. I'm like, oh my God, I must go and do it as well. So it will work positively, and the speed of information, because WhatsApp, it's connected. You're seeing it in real time, and then you looked in and said, oh, this candidate is actually ahead of the other one, so maybe my vote will make a difference, right? So that inspired me. That was a positive side.
Right.
But the not so positive side is also things like Lalit pointed, misinformation, endorsements that may not really have happened, or miscommunication, right? Location, address, timing, slot. It could be many different things. Now you're asking, how do we mitigate the risks, right?
Sure.
And I wish I knew everything. I don't think I do. But I do think, like all informed citizens, there is triangulation of data that must be done. The good news is, and it's just not, I think it's not the responsibility of citizens alone. I think it's going to require contribution from the regulators, the government agencies to step up, put policies in place, organizations like Digital X Force to come and build technologies to combat the deep fakes or negative news channels that may be putting information out there. Simple example, one of the tech companies recently has come back and said that they are going to put water stamps on images which are not real but actually constructed using AI. I think that's fantastic. So if you are the audience, when you look at a picture, please do look even more closely to see, is there a watermark that might indicate, is it really real, or is it being constructed by AI, which may not be true. Those are simple things we all can influence in our lives.
Hackers tomorrow can create that watermark itself as well. It's not a big deal to get the watermark on a picture or so, you know. I mean, hackers can go to any extent, but what I really liked about is that you're talking about some moral and ethical facts that we, as a citizen, we should be implying them. Lalit, let me dive a little bit more deep into it. Can you talk about these ethical implications?
I think there's plenty of ethical implications. First of all, like the ethical responsibility of anyone and everyone who's publishing data, the data has to be accurate or has been validated.
Right.
I can tell you, even there is cases when some of the Fortune 100 companies that you might recognize, that you believe, they, in the name of business, will publish or let the guards go down. And that's the reason why they get fined by the regulators, because how did you allow that? And then they've been asked by the Senate, the hearings that happen, how did it happen? We have to really let those go, especially, when you this corporate responsibility is huge for those companies because people are relying, like Facebook or Twitter and others, right? We have to make sure, as a responsibility, both ethical and morally, you need to make sure you take the extra steps. But I would also say, more than the ethical, I want to get into the safeguards you were asking, right?
Right.
The AI, as I said, is an enabler, is a tool. Tool can be used in a good way or in a bad way, just like a knife. You can cut apples and vegetables and stuff, or do other things too, which are not so right to do. It's the same weapon. The AI, I will say, in the cyber context, right, because the risks are real, can also automate a lot of this, what we call as identification of threats. With intelligence added on top of that, then proactive actions, monitoring anything is going wrong or this is proliferating. Where we always find the dilemma is lack of action taken by, or the government authorities, and the delays happen.
Right.
The bad actors are not waiting for anybody's permission. Let me get approvals from the 10 layers before I can launch this.
Yeah.
The good actors are waiting for 10 of approvals, and by the time approval comes, the threat has already become real and is attacked.
Yeah.
We have to let those layers go away and combat that with the same agility. That's where you can put the same tools, same weapons at a good use. So the ability to be able to identify, triage, and then really combat those threats can happen through the same mechanisms of AI, but somebody has to take ownership and ethical and moral responsibility there.
Speaking of ownership, this also prompts me to ask you, at CyberWatch, where we lay so much emphasis on cybersecurity, what's the relationship between AI and cybersecurity? I want to talk to you about that, but hold on with your thoughts. And you can obviously brew those thoughts in your mind. We'll take a quick short break over here. On the other side of the break, we'll continue our conversation with Sheetal Rishi and Lalit Ahluwalia. Viewers, you stay tuned. Guys, you be with us. We'll be right back after these messages. Lalit and Sheetal, once again, welcome to CyberWatch. Lalit, so the question that came to my mind just before the break was, what really is the relationship of AI and cybersecurity?
So the simple relationship, as we said, AI is an enabler, and as an enabler, just like in any other facet, any other industry, cyber as an industry or a use case, AI can actually make it either better, or you can use it for the bad use cases. That's what the relationship is. AI is not cyber, or cyber is not AI. It's not like replaceable.
Right.
It's an enabler. Which use case you want to apply is what really make. We talked about some of the cyber risks.
Right.
The misinformation, the data exploitation, or be able to pretend, deepfake. These are some of the risks,
right,
which are cyber risks, we call it.
Right.
The same way, the AI can also become a really very meaningful weapon, ranging from like gaining intelligence of a very different scale. I can now source the dark web. I can source any publicly available information which was not able to pull together, and create very good models, analytic models around it. On the other hand, I can also create very sharp tools to identify those threats and combat those threats. I can put that to use as well, right?
Right.
How am I able to use that? Because AI enables me doing that. One of the things that AI is very powerful at doing is, which humans are not, scrape this gazillions of records of data and make something more useful out there.
Yeah.
There's a concept which we'll probably talk about further, scraping, the web scraping. The why that web scraping, for the people to understand, when I can go in any internet available sources and go deeper, like Vikas was trying to surf in a website, he can only go to 10 pages, maybe 20, maybe 50. What if I told you, can you go to 20,000 pages in the next 5 minutes?
Right.
Because I'm out, I'm done. Because that's not a human task.
Right.
AI can do that. AI can also do the same thing for the cyber as well. It can go and scrap as much as possible and pull very useful data together. That's where we have to start using advantage of AI to combat those cyber risks.
Beautifully explained. शीतल, इसी बात को सरल आसान तरीके से मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, और वो दो पर्सपेक्टिव से. एक तो कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में जो है आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और साइबर सिक्योरिटी का किस तरह से संबंध रहता है, रिलेशनशिप रहता है कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में, और दूसरा मेरे जैसा आम कंज्यूमर, मतलब जिसको कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड से इतना लेना देना नहीं है, मतलब मैं अगर शॉपिंग ऑनलाइन कर रहा हूँ या मैं किसी रिटेल आउटलेट में भी जा रहा हूँ या बैंकिंग में जा रहा हूँ, मुझे क्या कुछ पता होना चाहिए. और ये खास मैं सवाल हमारे सीनियर सिटीजन व्यूअर्स के लिए पूछ रहा हूँ. बहुत सी चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो उनको नहीं समझ हैं. तो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, हम देखिए अब एथिकल इम्प्लीकेशंस की बात कर रहे थे, कुछ मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ जो हमें खुद को पता होना चाहिए. मतलब जिसको कहते हैं ना इंडिया में कि सावधानी हटी दुर्घटना घटी, तो आपको सावधानी बरतनी है, समझना है कि ये ज़िंदगी का जीने का नया तौर तरीका है. तो कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में कैसे होता है, और एक आम व्यक्ति को जो रोज़मर्रा की ज़िंदगी में वो इसको कैसे एम्ब्रेस करे?
तो पहले तो आई थिंक सब ये समझ लें और याद रखें कि ये जैसे जीवन के दो पहिए होते हैं ना, या रेल ट्रैक के दो पहिए. सो एआई एंड साइबर सिक्योरिटी इन माय ओपिनियन विल ऑलवेज गो हैंड इन हैंड. दे विल नेवर मीट, दे विल नेवर कन्वर्ज, बट वन कैन नॉट लिव विदाउट द अदर.
Right.
Because AI is continuing to penetrate into our lives at much more rapid scale. Again, health, financial data, your family data, your personal data, everything, the way we interact with our family and friends is going to be always influenced by AI. So cybersecurity would be required. To your point on the earlier comment, किसी ने अगर watermark आज बनाया तो कल उसका antidote बन जाएगा. It will.
Yeah.
And then AI will have to find out that measure is not working. Now what is next, right? So first question, क्या relationship है? ये एक ही साथ रहेंगे और जब तक AI है तब तक साइबर सिक्योरिटी. I don't want to say like जब तक है चांद तब तक है चांद, that kind of thing. I think they will always coexist, right? And it is very, very critical that they coexist so that AI can be for the betterment of humanity, which is the hopefully the reason why we all experienced it and why we are building it.
Right.
अभी हम सब क्या कर सकते हैं? I share this with my parents. मैं अपने बच्चों को भी यही समझाती हूँ. वो stranger danger को हमेशा याद रखो. जैसे छोटे बच्चे को सिखाते हैं ना, don't talk to a stranger, don't share too much information, don't believe them. I think that is what we all need to remember. क्योंकि again, I go back for any human, हमारी सब लाइफ के लिए financials and health data for example is very critical. अभी सब कुछ इंटरनेट पे है. अब मुझे पता है कि आपके बैंक में क्या है, right? मुझे पता नहीं है, but I'm pretending if I am an attacker, right? It's very easy for me to be able to pull because I can hide finding social security numbers or your Aadhaar card numbers. I think for advanced people, it is easy to compromise, unfortunately. So what can you do? Bank का example लेते हैं. So keep a check, simple things on your transaction. So in my personal life as well, recently my daughter and I noticed that, Mom, there are 3 transactions in California. I was not in California, so it looks like something is not right.
Something
तो
fishy.
जब तक वो नहीं देखती तो नहीं पता चलता. तो step 1, card cancel करो. Step 2, transactions dispute karo and let the bank know. And banks are pretty smart right now. They may not, you gave an example in the last episode. Paisa aayega ki nahi aayega, I cannot promise that, but I can tell you.
But you need to report.
You have to report because enterprises are taking those matters very, very seriously. And that's how they're staying on top of each other. So to your comment, you know, अगर दुर्घटना घटी वाला जो आपने phrase बोला है, तो वो नहीं होने दो. हाँ, thank you. वो monitor करते रहिए. Don't stop monitoring and reporting back. If you see something, say something. Right? Don't expect someone else to come and find you because again, you're a fly on the wall. अगर आपके साथ कुछ हो रहा है तो आप ज़रूर उसको रिपोर्ट करो. इज़ नंबर 1 थिंग. और मॉनिटर करते रहो अपने डेटा को. दैट इज़ योर की. दैट इज़ योर whole existence basically.
Although I don't want to go tangent to our topic, you know, and we've discussed it in part 1 in the previous episode over here as well. I guess AI could be an ongoing topic and the things will continue, the technology will continue to evolve. So we will do many more episodes on AI. Very recently, I switched my cell phone carrier from A company to B company. Now the B company, you know, when I got their new phone, the special deals were on during the holidays and I took that phone. Now, the question that I have for you is, when I was setting up my phone, I was having some issues. So I called the technical team over there and they were walking me through. Somehow I was not able to get what they were telling me. Now, they were able to log into my phone simultaneously. And then thereafter, he had the whole access to my cell phone. And he actually circled it. He says, this is what you need to do. And I was walking through with him on my cell phone to fix that problem, I was also very nervous that this guy would have all the information on my phone. ये मेरे साथ हुआ है तो बहुतों के साथ होता होगा. What would be your advice now? You have to fix that technical issue. What will you do?
Advice? एक तो पहले okay, a lot of things that have been said in this conversation, by the way. And I want to go back to a few basics, hygiene 101s of cybersecurity. Passwords regularly change करो. Same password मत रखो. I can promise you, still 90% of people का बैंक का password भी शायद same होगा. उनके Netflix का password भी same होगा, you know. And if you are running a smart home, your password is going to be same as well.
For
Wi-Fi.
entering into the house as well.
Yes,
Sure.
it may as much as so. And if you can remember, and which is a real problem, then please invest in password security software applications. I think they are really, really worth it. And I hope you're planning to introduce one of those things as well in the market through your company. But back to your question, क्या करो? कि उसको trust करो कि नहीं करो, या उसने आपका data देख लिया? Data तो देखेगा, वो expert है. इसीलिए if there are a lot of restricted sites जो call center में जहाँ वो बैठा हुआ है ना, वो employee security, employee verification इसीलिए की जाती है to confirm कि भैया कोई bad actor तो नहीं हम accidentally hire कर रहे हैं. Or when these employees enter the call center, typically a good best-in-class practice is कि you're not supposed to carry any device with you when you're on the floor. अब हाथ से तो कितना लिख लोगे ना, अगर लेकिन आपके पास कोई device नहीं है, कोई USB नहीं है, तो you cannot take a lot of data along with you. So that is the responsibility of the enterprise, whatever your carrier is, AT&T, Verizon, जो भी है आपका, उनकी responsibility है, which is where Lalit was talking about. It's a combination of corporate responsibility. Yeah, and I think it's policymakers, regulators need to be able to put enterprises accountable so that they can safeguard average consumers like you and me, because consumers will lose sight of. जब plane में चढ़ते हो या train में बैठते हो तो you expect the train to be safe, ये नहीं कि वो derail हो जाएगी, right? और train safety is the responsibility of the state.
Correct.
Similarly, safety of AI applications has to be a combination of enterprises and regulators, in my opinion, right? Consumer safety is in the hands of that particular country that where you are resident of. So in that context, आपका जो data है, you cannot troubleshoot without providing that data.
Right.
And you have to trust. That's where trust also comes in. Ethical AI comes in. कि भैया जिसको data बताया है, अगर वो आपके सारे messages या जो भी आपकी transactions को देख भी रहा है, they're not able to misuse it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, मामला सारा विश्वास का है, trust का है. And so we will be discussing with our experts on the program on digital trust as well in our upcoming episodes of CyberWatch. Viewers, it's time for us to take another short break over here. On the other side of the break, when we resume back, we'll take a quick look at the CyberWatch News Flash. We'll be right back after these messages. Lalit and Sheetal, once again, welcome to CyberWatch. Viewers, it's time for us to take a quick look at the CyberWatch News Flash. Here we go. FTC fines Avast $16.5 million over deceptive data privacy practices. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission has cracked down on popular antivirus provider Avast for deceiving users about its data privacy protections. The FTC levied a $16.5 million fine against Avast for selling users sensitive browsing histories to advertisers through its JumpShot subsidiary, despite claiming its software blocked online tracking. The regulatory body accused Avast of unfairly collecting and selling users' web searches, locations, and other personal information without proper consent. Avast also failed to disclose that data buyers could associate the browsing data with additional information to track users. The deceptive practices came to light in 2020 after investigations revealed Avast was supplying data to over 100 third parties. Major web browsers consequently removed Avast extensions for spyware. Now, the FTC fine bans Avast from selling browsing data for ads and orders it to notify impacted users. The privacy violations allegedly occurred from 2014 onwards, with JumpShot claiming access to 100 million devices. Following backlash, Avast wound down JumpShot's operations. Well, that was another great information for our viewers. Lalit, continuing with our conversation on AI and related catastrophes that one could face, we had a great case study, and that was my personal experience. I guess during the break you had something to add on to it. Please go ahead.
No, I definitely want to build upon what you just brought up, because this happens very regularly. And for everyone, doesn't matter how seasoned or amateur you are, it's a very common scenario. So when you are giving access to someone, what we call that is remote access to the users. And many times people who are like trying to, आपकी machine है, Dell है या HP है, आपने देखा होगा वो कहेंगे कि हाँ भी ये वाला program करो, and then say accept means I'm giving control to someone.
Right.
The purpose of that control is to really kind of allow them to take action so that they can diagnose something which you are not able to do or perform.
At home, yeah.
Okay. Usually what happens, because those are contained accesses. They don't give you unlimited access to everything. But I also want to now join what you brought up with the AI. At some point, you'll start using AI, artificial intelligence, not even human, trying to do that. And there could be possibilities of they really gaining access to the machines and take data in a matter of microseconds, not even seconds and stuff, it's already gone from your machine.
Right.
That's where I want to kind of match the risk, right? Today, when you're watching actions, those folks that you accept, make sure that you see what access you're really giving them, which typically is for fixing the issue that you really have in hand. But be there, closely monitor what's going on. That's the best you can do. And of course, the moral and ethical responsibility of those corporates making sure they're bringing the right people, they're giving only the level of access they need to perform the function, and more importantly, they also monitor their actions and make sure that no data has gone beyond what was needed to perform the action.
Yeah. I guess in part 1 and part 2, we very widely have covered preventing an AI-related catastrophe and cyber implications and risk of artificial intelligence. As we wrap up this conversation, viewers who are watching from 8 through 80 years of age, how responsibly they should be consuming AI, and they should be well aware of the risks involved with that, ensuring their safety and how they can safeguard them. As a closing remark, I'll come up to you, Sheetal, and then I'll reach out to Lalit.
AI is here to stay, 8 to 80 and beyond, hopefully. Self-awareness, tech awareness, and willingness to change, I think, will be my 3 takeaways for everybody who is listening. Agar aap koi employee, kahin job kar rahe hain, to be ready for the change. Invest in your own skills, be informed. Instead of scrolling, don't just be a consumer of the technology, but see how it can impact your, and help you enhance your skills is the thing. And if you are looking to, again, from a security perspective, be informed, guardrails. I know I'm not saying that 80 pages ka except padho sab log, but I think be informed that you're not sharing more data, as Lalit said, and giving access and being there if you get remote access, things like that. Be around there, be aware of your surroundings. That's what I would suggest.
No, I think Sheetal covered it really well, like being informed, being aware, self-aware, but also be a contributor of that, because this AI, more you can share with others, your life lessons, better for others too. It's just like being vigilant, right? We call it, the guardians of X-Force Galaxy. I think in the new age of digital and new age of AI, everyone can be like the guardian of the digital galaxy. So learning, trainings, adaptability, awareness, also where you're applying and how you're applying is equally important to understand. And once you do that, just be responsible. Use it, because that's what this technology is meant for, but use responsibly.
Yeah, I guess my takeaway from the conversation with both of you in the previous episode and in this episode is stay informed and stay empowered. That's very important. Viewers, that brings us to the end of tonight's episode of CyberWatch. Until next time, this is Vikas Nagar signing off. And yes, if you have any questions, concerns, and queries for CyberWatch, you can write us at cyberwatch@tvasiausa.com. And if you want to connect with Lalit Ahluwalia, you can connect
digitalxforce.com or itrustxforce.com or our LinkedIn pages or social media pages.
All right. Until next time, this is Vikas Nagar signing off. Thank you for joining us.